straight face here. The Bears belong in the city of Chicago. The Chicago Bears belong in the city of Chicago, right? And I've said repeatedly that the door is always open for conversations, and Kevin Warren did call me yesterday. We didn't get a chance to connect, and I still firmly believe that their best position is in Chicago, and it's evidence. The evidence is clearly speaking for itself.
Okay, apparently it looks like it's almost official that the Chicago Care Bears are going to be moving to Hampton or Hammond, Indiana, where their new stadium will be at. Now, apparently, what you seen in the clip, if you don't know anything about Chicago politics, which is one of the most politically incorrect run cities, let me give you a little history about Chicago politics, and this is why identity politics are always bad. You must vote on the best candidate that aligns in your beliefs and faiths in your money situation. Let me say that again. I've talked about why it's very important for the city of Detroiters to get out there and vote. And when they don't get out and vote and they don't know the new laws, they don't know what Congress is passing, they don't know their local officials, and they want to complain about property taxes, guess what, idiots? Your treasurer is the one that keep your property taxes low, right? Your local officials is the ones that can help you out with, better police, better, aid, letting you know the grants and funding. And it's a lot of grants and funding in Detroit for job training, for first-time business owners, first-time home buyers. There are several programs that you may not know about, right? And if you want to know about it, maybe I might just start a Patreon and charge people for this information that I got, right? Because I think that would be fair because it's really good information, right? But moving forward, in Chicago, I'm gonna just give you an instance, right? Well, two instances. This kind of set the table on this guy, Brandon Adams. He was a former school teacher. He was voted on identity politics, and obviously, when you see the video, you'll know what identity politics. Chicago is a black city. It is the third largest city behind Los Angeles and the top dog, New York City, right now. But also, Houston is starting to gain ground on them. So maybe by the next census or two, that Houston is probably going to be the third most populated city in America, right? So nonetheless, one of the things that's a big issue in Chicago is that I believe they sold their downtown parking. I think it's just the downtown parking. They sold their downtown parking to the Middle East, the Saudis in the Middle East, if my memory serves me correctly. They sold it to them for a flat rate. Now, it's rumored this is like a 10-year deal. Don't quote me on that. But I've heard that in the first 2 or 3 years of the deal, the Saudis already made the money back, the flat rate that they gave to Chicago. And now the money in Chicago, if you've ever been to downtown Chicago, the parking is very lucrative there. So now the Saudis, for the next 6-7 years, whatever it is all pros. Also, the residents are mad at Brandon Adams for the simple fact of him, giving their resources to illegal immigrants, right? If you ever go to Chicago, it is very segregated amongst the Chicagoans. You have the Latin Kings and the blacks. You can't go over there if you black, if you know a little bit about Chicago street politics. I know just a smidget. So, at the end of the day, he's made a lot of mistakes. And apparently in the video, he's, telling them that he's willing to talk about the stadium in Chicago. You may wonder why, because they want the city to put up some money for the stadium. Hammond, Indiana, and maybe the state of Indiana is willing to put up money to move that stadium there. Chicago, apparently, now he want to come to the table that it looks like they're about to punch it in from the 1 yard line to move to Indiana. Now he wants to talk about, hey, we need to, we're supposed to be brothers. We want to keep the Bears in Chicago. And it sounds like it's too late. Can they get the funds? Not sure they even got the funds in Chicago about how bad it's been mismanaged. Even the mayor before that was horrible. So they're moving to Indiana and they're going to say, guess what? We're still the Chicago Bears at the end. No, you motherfuckers are the Hammond, Indiana Bears. Y'all are the Hammond Bears, the Indiana Bears. Take that fucking C off your hat and put an I on it. An IHB. They are the HIB. They are the fucking Hammond, Indiana Care Bears, right? The Hammond, Indiana, HICC, the Hampton, Indiana Care Bears. That's what y'all are. Y'all no longer the Chicago Bears. Y'all not located in Chicago. Just like when the Minnesota Lakers moved to Los Angeles, they wasn't still calling themselves the Minneapolis Lakers. No, no, no. They were the Los Angeles Lakers. Chicago no longer has a foosball team. Chicago, I said it again in my Dr. Umar voice, Chicago no longer has a football team once this becomes official. Now, the whole thing about them getting this new stadium was having a retractable roof so they can have a Super Bowl there. That was the whole thing. So they can get a Super Bowl. And they wanted to get a Super Bowl there. I'm not mad at it because Chicago is a city, they downtown is so luxurious that it deserves a Super Bowl. So it's a 35-minute drive, which is not long, 28.7 miles from Chicago to Hampton, Indiana. So even if they have that Super Bowl, that Chicago probably still gonna have a lot of people booking in Chicago to have that Super Bowl. So I mean, I ain't surprised, bro. I'm legitimately not surprised. It doesn't surprise me. So Chicago has been mismanaged so bad. Financially, a lot of the residents mad because the mayor sold them out for illegal immigrants. They was going down there telling the residents of Chicago, y'all had illegal immigrants telling them, y'all been on welfare long enough, or y'all been getting government assistance long enough. It's our turn. It's like, you're not even from this country. And let me say this real talk, because I talked about the mayoral rate, and shout out to Mary Sheffield. And I talked about this. People don't understand how economics works. They don't understand when you talk about illegals being here. People who are, in the trucking industry, a lot of the truck drivers got to do a pivot and pick up more skills because they're paying them under the table. The truck drivers, they're paying them under the table. And guess what? When you pay somebody under the table and they don't pay taxes, guess what? And they also getting WIC, bridge cards, Section 8. They getting these vouchers. They getting cell phone. They giving them all these resources. Guess what? They making money, not paying taxes on the money, getting your benefits that should be going to American citizens, or get rid of the benefits and throw it back into the community. However you feel about that, I'm not telling you how to feel. And they're sending that money back home. They're extracting from the United States, not replenishing what they extract, just taking and taking and taking. That's what extract mean. And taking it back to their country. That's why Trump put the tariffs in order, because it's too much free e-commerce in America. You can make money in America and not have to create jobs, not plant roots here. So when you talk about economics and you talking about why it's so messed up in America, don't get into the point, who's going to do the job? Somebody will always be able to do a job. You got a penitentiary full of men and women in penitentiary that you could put out and pick strawberries and do that stuff, right? That's a fact. So don't get caught up in that. The whole thing about it is this. When you got somebody making money, not paying taxes, taking resources, and not replenishing it, this is how you get a messed up economy. Not only are the illegal immigrants doing that, a lot of businesses are selling their cars, selling their shingles, selling their tires here, taking money here, and not having to put jobs here, not having skin in the game. Learn economics a little bit. A lot of people just talk about politics on the abortion level or on the right or the left. Go learn about businesses, tariffs, taxes, econ. You'll become a better voter. And start off with local officials. Those are the ones that really matter. But hey, hit the link in the description. Find me everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, wherever, my other platforms. It's the link in the description. Say find me everywhere. Peace.